All right. Hello. First of all, thank you, ATypI, for choosing my talk. Try to live up to the expectation. Today, I'm going to talk about Arabic calligraphy in China, and it's called Sini. So when you talk about Arabic calligraphy, usually there are canonical styles like Kufi, Naskh, Thuluth, Diwani, and Ulqa. And these can be found in any calligraphy books. There are more regional ones outside, for example, Maghribi in the west and Nastaliq in the east. And that's not to say these are very specific to these regions. These are things you can see more in those regions. And people don't think much beyond the east of Nastaliq. People may think Nastaliq is the east end of the culture. And in China, there's another style called Sini, which not many people talk about. And that's my topic. And I want to let you discover the Sini the way I found. So I will take you to Xi'an, which is the old capital of China. I went to Xi'an last year. And Xi'an is, by the way, is an amazing place. This is where you can see these terracotta soldiers, but for me, that's not really the interesting part. There's so many reasons why you should go to Xi'an, or you should have a ATypI Xi'an. I'm not going to propose that, but Exhibit A is an inscription museum, or in their words, inscription forest, where you can see, they claim 4,000 of inscriptions. And yeah, I believe that. There are just tons and tons of inscriptions there. And you can spend just hours and days just looking at these beautiful, beautiful inscriptions. And yeah, lots of nice letter forms. This one looks more like a character than, icon, more than a letter. And outside the museum, there's a calligrapher street or scribe street where you see nothing but calligraphy shops. This one is a dedicated brush shop and paper shop and inkwell shop. And of course, no calligraphy is complete without seals. So there's, of course, a seal shop where you can have your name carved. They charge you by the letter. And Xi'an is also home to this most complex Chinese character on Unicode, which is Bian. And this is, by the way, Islamic community. You start to see Arabic writing there. And of course, just this Bian character is available in Chinese, traditional and simplified writing. So this letter is used for Bian Bian noodle. So it's like a marketing stunt. It's like that Welsh place with a very long name. It's essentially the same thing. And this Bian Bian noodle is a very flat and thick noodle with lots of vegetables and spices. It's so good. This is my colleagues, by the way, Akira and Julius. And the thing I was interested in the most was the Xi'an Grand Mosque, which is the oldest mosque in China, built around the middle of 8th century and just kept being rebuilt many times. And this is the entrance of the mosque. Unless you're told, you might not think this is actually a mosque. It doesn't look Islamic at all, but it actually is an Islamic premise. And this is another beautiful Islamic architecture. And you will start to see depiction of flowers and plants and animals, which is, again, very different from the typical Islamic architecture you might think of. And then you start to see Arabic writing like this. I think this is a specific writing to China. This is kind of like a mukakak and thuluth with a very, very much tilted baseline, which I will get back to later. Square kufi with a Chinese twist. It's very hard to read. This is a really nicely done inscription. And all the decorations in the corner, they're also Arabic words. And since we are in China, they love writing stuff vertically, so you got vertical Arabic. And when I saw this, I saw a passing resemblance to Gothic Balkan script from Star Trek, so it looks kind of like that. Just briefly reminded of this thing. If you want to read this Arabic, you need to isolate the middle stem in the first word. So it's part of the first word, yeah. And the rest is relatively easier if you know Arabic. Well, I don't expect you to be, but anyway, that's not the point. And this is the main mosque. It's, again, very Chinese-looking, but it has lots of Arabic writing. And this golden one is amazing. So it says just Bismillah, which is a typical Islamic phrase chosen for many, many, many Arabic calligraphy. And the writings on the column, they're also written vertically, but each word is sort of fit into a diamond shape, and it has aged wonderfully. It has really nice cracks and textures. And it's written like this. So, and the baseline tilts like all over the place. So sometimes everything is vertical, and yeah, they do all sorts of tricks to fit into diamond shape. So to them, proportion and contrast is less of a concern. What matters most is the fitting of the word. But how did this happen? Those Muslims were actually descendants of the Silk Road traders who decided to settle in China. And Islam was actually introduced in China almost as soon as Islam came to be. And around the end of 13th century, with the demise of Yuan dynasty, they lost connection with the Middle East, and they started developing their own culture. So these Muslim people are, they're called Hui Chinese. They're not Han Chinese, and they're descendants of Arabs and Chinese. And there are about 23 million Muslims in China, and half of them are this Hui Chinese. They speak Mandarin with lots of words borrowed from Arabic and Persian. So that's why this community exists, and they're actually everywhere in China. It's not just Xi'an. And I will show you lots of pictures from different places in China. And the pictures were donated by my typeface designer friend Chu Yan in Shanghai. So this is another square or diamond fitting Arabic. This one has a lot of peculiarities with Chinese diamond fitting. If you want to read this, it's roughly like this. So the red part is actually Aleph Lam ligature. And the white part should be straightforward. And the final calf, the blue one, is almost always written like this. They don't have this lamb shape with a little calf. The initial, middle, final, and isolated, they're all the same shape. And this is a diamond fitting with some 3D sculpture like this. This is really nice. And speaking of 3D sculpture, this is even crazier. If you're not told, you might not notice that this is actually Arabic. In the corridor, you see Arabic there. And they have a very sharp contrast. I will explain later. This is a Muslim restaurant or Islamic food restaurant. The black squiggly thing on the top of the sign, that's the Arabic. And this is a kind of butcher as well as a barbecue restaurant. You can see Arabic at the bottom. And inside butchers, you can see the Arabic there. The thing to notice in Arabic, the Sini calligraphy is that in Japanese and Chinese calligraphy, we do not fix letters afterwards. When I write a letter, you don't touch up later. But in Arabic, for example, you touch up the final shape of wow. That's a big no-no in Arabic, so China. So they don't do that. They write everything in one go. So that's a major difference. And you can see it in tapestry. And again, vertical Arabic. The one on the left can be read as Allah and Muhammad. And also, if you go to Taiwan, you can still see lots of Sini. So I think Taiwan is really the east end of Arabic, well, as far as Sini is concerned. This may not be particularly a good one, but I quite like the vernacular quality of the inscription. Again, this is a Sini, very typical one. And how it's written, I can show you the video by a calligrapher in Xi'an called Haji Imam Yahya. So he has a calligraphy shop in Xi'an near the mosque I showed you. And he has lots of creative styles. This is a set of tools that he uses. I will show you how he makes one. So he says he never buys a tool, pen. He cuts a piece of cloth and ties it to this piece of bamboo stick.
Okay, 1 minute.
And he prepares a diamond shape using origami.
This is new one.
And this kind of soft-tipped brush or pen gives you the soft texture and a hard touch at the same time. And the stroke contrast in his Arabic is quite vertical. But when he writes a dot, it's more diagonal. So again, the stroke contrast stress angle is all over the place.
My name يحيى. يحيى. أتمنى لنا صحة وكل شيء سهل. I hope I strong.
Yeah.
And everything is easy.
So that's Mr. Yahya. He actually studied Arabic calligraphy in Cairo, and he came back to Xi'an and pursued Chinese calligraphy. And how do I? Oh no. How do I go? Yes. And also, as far as modern calligraphy is concerned, I think the most famous guy is Haji Nurdin. He also studied Arabic calligraphy in Cairo, then came back to pursue his Arabic calligraphy in China. So there you can see here he's writing Arabic word, but with a Chinese touch, like with a bamboo-like shape. And he has lots of really creative styles. This is again Bismillah, and Arabic, vertical Arabic, and this is another vertical Arabic. And this is more like a Chinese letter, but each individual part is actually an Arabic word. So he's really trying to push the fusion of Arabic and Chinese. The one on the left, for example, can be read as Allah, but it also looks like a Chinese radical. So yeah, do check out Haji Nurdin. He's a really amazing calligrapher. And so as you can see, Sini is, although I just said Sini, but there are actually lots of subcategories, and they're not really researched. So we need some further categorization. But for today, I want to focus on one particular one, which is this diamond fitting thing. Like, why are they doing this? So when they got Arabic writing, this is, by the way, the theory of Chu Yan. They started to write Arabic vertically. They wanted to keep the orientation more or less the same, but they started writing it a bit diagonally. But they sometimes could fit the word in the column, but sometimes they couldn't. So, and also they have this one idea in one letter form. So they tried the same idea, basically, fitting one word into one square shape. I think that's how they invented this diamond fitting shape. I think Chinese people have this particular interest. And also, even when they go back to horizontal writing, I think out of habit, they still keep writing baseline diagonally, I think. So another example is Xu Bing. For example, this is a Chinese calligrapher who invented Latin sentence, but written in Chinese manner. So, for example, this is art for the people. I hope you can read it. But on the surface level, it looks like a Chinese sentence. So I think it's more common with in Chinese. I think it's a really thinking of ideograph culture. And this is where actually I got the idea of cowhand from, this fitting everything in one shape. So it's actually my tribute or homage to Xu Bin. So going back to Sini, I just did a research, but I'm a type designer, so I wanted to design some type. It's still early in the making, so it's not really complete. So there are lots of things I don't like either, but yeah, please bear with me. He's a mouse cursor. Yeah, so the one on the left is mine. The one on the right is Palatino Arabic. And it has features like this. Again, because they don't finish while like they touch up in the final form, they actually write the same shape, more or less the same shape as kaf. And usually you can tell from the number of dots. So that's, yeah, theoretically you can just distinguish it that way. So it doesn't really matter to Chinese. That's how they're used to this. So that's in the typeface. And hek is usually written, this middle form is usually written as in the same shape. You can write like the one on the right. And the final form is almost always like this wavy line. And the kaf, again, is like the same shape everywhere, so it was easy. So when you write a word like Allah, it looks like this. And this is, hello, my name is Toshi. But again, there are so many things I need to fix later. But the reason why I wanted to do this is because I wanted to do the discretionary ligature, which is this. So this is, I drew lots of ligatures like this. So yeah, this is really the fun part. Actually, these are actually more like a placeholder. So when you have this Bismillah sentence, I can compose a graphic like this. So yeah, by the way, I tried vertical setting in Adobe InDesign, and it actually typesets Arabic, but somehow from the bottom to top. But I'm actually glad that at least Adobe is doing something. It's just that I wish I had option from top to bottom, but hey, probably I'm the only one who's complaining in this world, so it's all right. So yeah, if I turn on the ligature, yeah, it will still compose from bottom to top. So in conclusion, I hope to expand the knowledge of Arabic a bit to the east. It's still pretty much an unexplored territory, so I wish more knowledgeable people to have a crack at this script. And otherwise, next time you go to China, make sure to visit one of those places. It's always fun to put two cultures in the blender, and Sini Arabic is one of the fine examples. So thank you very much. And sorry.